No, 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 no. Batman. That's right. Today I'm looking at Batman. Or rather, the Batmobile. Managed to pay a visit to a toy shop today and was rather taken back by a collection of at least 8 different variations of the Batmobile, Batman's legendary vehicle of choice for driving around the streets of Gotham, patrolling, uh, doing all sorts of things that you do in a car when you're a vigilante, dressed as a bat, going around taking on incredibly suspicious looking criminals who do all kinds of criminal stuff. Just like they do in the movies and the comics and the cartoons and so on. You'll have to excuse me, we've got a bit of a sore throat today, so I'm not going to be my usual chipper self. I'm just going to sound grumpier and more depressed than usual. But that's not going to stop me from doing a review of this from Batman Arkham Asylum. We have the Batmobile that as of yet you haven't been able to drive around in. The new game coming out on the next gen consoles, you will be able to. Quite nicely from what I've seen as well. Just a little look at the box, you can see it's number 7 out of a series of 8 to celebrate 75 years of Batman. He's been around that long. He's looking good for 75. Possibly all we've given you was probably about 30 when he started being a Batman, but never mind, let's see what we've got then. Collect them all, and then various different languages, collect them all again. Usual warnings about small ports, that symbol, and then various different Batmobiles from the different shows that he's been in. So the Batman Batmobile, Batman the Brave and the Bold Batmobile, Batman Classic TV Series Batmobile, Batcopter, Batman Live Batmobile? No idea what that's about. The Batmobile from the Burton movie, Batman Arkham Asylum Batmobile, which is this one, and then the Bat from the last Christopher Nolan movie. Imported by Mattel Canada. Let's just see, it's made by Mattel. Lion, huge letter C, huge letter E, HotWheels.com, and so on and so forth. As you know, it's got something to do with Batman, DC Comics. Always a bit redundant as far as I'm concerned to see DC Comics, considering what the C stands for. And of course, Warner Bros. Let's open this one up. Quite well glued in. Good God, they've got it secure. Probably to prevent it from being stolen, although that said, a few of the cars that I saw, a few of the different cartons had been quite badly damaged by people trying to get into them. And by damaged I mean smashed up. Well, this feels quite nice. It's decent enough plastic, the wheels spin nicely. Definitely looks a lot like what we saw in one of the video games, I forget which one. You could actually see this, but we've got the 2 and the prequel that nobody really likes to talk about, and the official third part of the trilogy. Yep, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's slick, it's stylish, it's a Batmobile, it does what it's supposed to do. And let's look at another one. Batman with a price on his head, literally, $169. Something that springs to mind involving Catwoman there, but let's not go into that because it's a family show. And this is from the Brave and the Bold TV series, which was a cartoon series that sort of semi-emulated the campiness, sort of sent up the campiness of the 1960s TV show. It's going to have exactly the same warnings, exactly the same level of strength needed to open the package, but this one is actually metal. This one was all plastic for the most part, with metal bottoms and so on. It's got the warnings that it's made by Mattel and so forth. This is metal. Catches the light quite nicely. Definitely has a strong bat feeling to it. All the fins and so on, just like the other one does. And yeah. Decent high quality product. Really can't say anything wrong with that whatsoever. Which one to go for next? Because I've managed to get all 8, so this could be going for a while. Let's go with Tim Burton's Batman, played by Michael Keaton. The man that people didn't want to be Batman because as a comedic character actor, people thought he would be crap. As it turns out, he is very much the Sean Connery of Batman. Now, a lot of people prefer him to anybody else and consider him to be the true first Batman. Somewhat insulting to Adam West, but who cares? So this version... Billy. So this version is based on Tim Burton's epic Nightmares. Ugh. Good God. They definitely make decent boxes, don't they? And this one's got quite a bit of detail on it. It feels like metal, but also feels sort of plasticky. Maybe it's some sort of combination of the two, but you can see there's quite a lot of silver work on that. Ginormous wheels at the front, a huge turbine at the front, jet engine at the back, fins at the bottom, and of course the cockpit. Now there's just one problem with this that I see straight away. If I put it in profile you might be able to see it. Yes, if Batman gets into that, how the hell is he supposed to see to drive? That's just far too big, you wouldn't be able to see over the front. So it goes a bit like that. Nice movement, but of course, impractical. I think they've stylized it just a little too much. But speaking of style, the 1960s Batman, with a car that really started off so many fans' wet dreams. If I recall correctly, this version of the Batmobile was actually a prototype car in its own right that was then later modified, so it's literally one of a kind. Although I wouldn't be too surprised if other people have their own versions of it. Maybe I should pre-cut these things before I actually open them, but that just feels wrong. Decent enough replication. Feels nice and solid. It's definitely metal again. Good true representation of how everything looked. Rocket booster on the back. Parachutes to help slow it down when it had actually used them. None of these actually have any openable parts, but then given how small the car is, that's only to be expected. A little bit of cheap plastic here at the back here, that's supposed to be some sort of signal flare launcher or something like that. Or bat signal launcher, or bat spare tyre changer or something like that. Feels decent enough. I'll just move that over there. Yes, that works. I'll just park him up there. And I'll reverse this guy and put him there, just to try to make it look somewhat semi-professional. Now this is the Batman Live Batmobile. I have absolutely no idea what they're doing with this, because I've never heard of it. I'm assuming it's some sort of live event. I mentioned earlier that some of the boxes had been damaged. This is one of them. Took a while to actually collect all of the different versions. The 1960s TV series, for example, that was the only one in the shop. But when you look at this looks more sort of like Batman's attempt to break the world speed land record. Great big cockpit at the front, which leaves him quite exposed to gunfire. Rockets at the back. Yep, so he'll probably be able to go really fast, but probably not safely. Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah, it doesn't really look... It looks like somebody decided to take the bat plane, take the wings off, reposition things a little bit, and just try to set things on a ground level. Maybe a little too much speed, not enough armour. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Next up, the Batman cartoon. This is the result of Warner Brothers and DC deciding to reboot the Batman cartoon series, and coming up with this. The voice actor was also known as the guy who did the voices for the main character in Star Trek Voyager Elite Force and its sequel, which were first-person shooters, based on Star Trek, where you played a man in the Hazard Squad, a completely made-up term for what was effectively an away team that was heavily armed and had actual body armour to protect them. A bit of a first for Star Trek, obviously, sending Marines that actually had decent equipment. Usually it's just, here's your uniform, it'll be read by the end of the episode, and we won't know your name. But in that case, he was a voice actor that they had for that. And the show's got mixed reactions. I've seen a couple of episodes and they seemed alright to me, but wasn't everybody's cup of tea. And of course, if you're going to play the voice of Batman in a cartoon series, when Kevin Conroy has been the voice of Batman for decades now and everybody is in love with that voice, you've got a very tough act to follow. There we go. I freed this Batmobile, and it's probably a styling choice more than anything else. Great big wad of silver on the bottom, yellow highlights, yellow wheels, something that kind of reminds me vaguely of kit from Knight Rider. Sort of plasticky feel more than anything else. Yes, that's definitely plastic. It looks alright, but he lied. I'll just move some of those boxes out of the way. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be as balanced as the others are, but I think we can forget about that Batmobile in the same way that we forget about a lot of other Batman things that aren't as good as the Batman things we really do like. Next up, The Dark Knight Rises. Unfortunately, it's not the Tumbler. It's the Bat, which I'm frankly in two minds about. Again, Batman with a price on his head, and with the price on that, I'm thinking Catwoman again. Of course, Dark Knight Rises, everybody was thinking about that Catwoman on the Batpod. Yes, you know the scene I'm talking about. The Dark Knight Rises, he wasn't the only one. Moving swiftly on. Let's get this thing out of the... Oh my god, it's... So that's what it looks like underneath. For the most part it's plastic with a metal cover. It's a decent enough replication. You've got air intakes here and then presumably outtakes that way, and then it's effectively a flying wing in some regards. It's just sort of hovering there. I'm not quite sure how it's supposed to work. That's one of the reasons I don't particularly like. I like the look. It's just the functionality of it just leaves me bewildered. Given that Nolan wanted his Batman movies rooted in reality, I am kind of bewildered by this thing, because I just don't see how it would work without having some sort of additional air intakes and extractor fans and jet engines around, say, here, to sort of give it some upwards boost. As it is, you've just got these front bits here that presumably take air in and then blow it out this way, and that's it. They're obviously positionable, but I'm just a little bewildered by it. And of course, it won't go at all along the bottom, because it has no wheels. Right, let's see, what have we got next? Batman. Just Batman. This is the Batcopter. I have absolutely no idea which incarnation of Batman this is supposed to be. The comic art sort of suggests late 90s, early 2000s, possibly present day style artwork, so I'm assuming this must be directly from the comics. So let's see what we've got. Again. Oh, good God. Oh, there we go, finally free. And this is a bit better, it's much more solid plastic. But the propellers, oh my god. Yes, fellas, if you're going to have a helicopter, really the rotor blades need to move around. You also got all kinds of stuff here which look like they're supposed to be missiles and a machine gun and so forth. Good, decent looking quality build there, but the rotor blades are a serious letdown. Can I unfasten that at all? I don't think so. Still, it has actually got wheels, so presumably... Oh. Yes, you have to set it down as carefully as you can, otherwise it'll fall over. And it'll continue to fall over no matter what. There we go. Let's give it another try. Oh, no. There we go. Well, it's a helicopter. It's meant for flying more than anything else. I'll just put that over here. I'll drop that down there. Now, of course, you'll have noticed the title. Batman versus Star Wars versus Matchbox, which means I must have at least something to do with Star Wars.